So shall we now look at the functions, the nature and the functions of money? Maybe you can mute the other mic.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. So we look at the nature and the functions of money. Let's look at the nature and the functions of money. What we have to understand is that different authors, in short, they have tried to, define money in various ways, right? But according to the writings of Abel Bernanke and Gregory Mankiw, the professor of Harvard, in his book, he writes that money, the definition of money can actually be derived from its functions, okay? We can derive the definition of money from the functions of money. And so it is necessary to look at the functions of money and then make a definition from there. That's what Gregory Mankiw said those days. Okay. So number one, to start with, he said money can be used as a medium of exchange. Medium of what? Medium of exchange. Money can be used as what? As a unit of what? Of accounting. Money can still be used, is used as the store of value, right? Store of value. And again, money can still be used as a standard of deferred payments. Therefore, we can now derive a definition from the same and say, money is anything of value that can be used as a medium of exchange, as a unit of accounting, as a store of value, and a standard of deferred payments. Is that clear? It is anything of value that we can use as a medium of exchange, as a unit of accounting, as a store of value, and as a standard of deferred payments. So that is the definition we can give to money, because it is not just enough. You remember somewhere in high school, you were learning in some, I've forgotten the subject. Really, it should be, there is that subject you look at money. Anyway, they define the money as anything of value that can be used in the exchange of goods and services. That is how it used to end. Then you can see that that is too basic, right? Because it is just capturing only one function of money. But we have realized as researchers that the functions of money are actually, money is not just used as a medium of exchange. We have realized that there are some goods or there are some things that you can use as a medium of exchange, but you can't use them as a unit of accounting. You cannot use them as a store of value, and you can't use them as the standard of payment, deferred payment. So therefore, we have just decided to derive the definition from the what? From the functions of money. Any question? Are we together, Bart?
No question. Yes, we're here.
Okay. So now let's start from looking at these functions in detail, one by one. Medium of exchange. This one is actually the main function of money. Imagine if a barter system were the only type of trade possible. There would be many situations in which people would not be able to obtain the goods and services that they wanted most. The advantage of using money is that it provides the owner with a generalized purchasing power. So money gives you purchasing power. The use of money It gives the owner the flexibility over the type and the quantities of goods they buy, the time, the place of their purchases, and the parties with whom they can choose to deal with. That is money. One of the critical characteristics of a medium of exchange is that it is acceptable of money when it comes to the medium of exchange, is that it is acceptable, right? It's widely acceptable. And money is supposed to be exchangeable for other things. So it is usual for the government to designate certain coins, paper currencies as the medium of what? Of exchange. So you can see that because of the characteristics of money, it just makes it unique such that it serves as a medium of exchange. You can see that money is portable, right? You can manage to carry money. It's portable. It's different from the coins and the other things that are heavy, the gold that they use to carry those things. Okay. What about money now as a unit of accounting? You see that this will simplify the task of deciding how we wish to divide our income between widely disparate items. For example, you would want to divide your money, break down your money, okay? The value of something that you have to small units. Now imagine there was no money. When you have maybe, what should I use? Maybe when you have a car, you want to exchange with something. You can't break down the value of the car. It's just the car itself. But now you can see that you can sell a car and break down the value of the car to the smallest coin, up to somewhere 5 ngwe, and use the values to buy different things of different value. So mostly in accounting, we use what? We use money to quote prices. In short, that's what this function is all about, unit of accounting. You use money to quote the prices, the value of the things, right? How worthy the things are. You use money. Unit of accounting refers to the ability of money to be used in measuring the value or the prices of the goods and services. We said that money can also be used as a store of value, right? It can still be used as a store of value because it provides individuals with the means of hoarding and accumulating wealth in a form which can at any time be converted immediately into goods and services. For example, when a person hoards money as a store of value, they are effectively treating it as a substitute for holding alternative forms of financial assets, such as the bonds, the deposit, the treasury bills, among others. So you see that when people hoard money, they are deciding to do so, but they have an alternative of holding money in other asset forms, such as the bonds. So you can convert those bonds that you have, those deposits you have, those treasury bills you have, and both the corporate and government bonds, you make them into money. Then you just hold the money. So you're holding the value of the goods, right? Sometimes when you don't want some things, I'll give you the example of there is this farmer. It is this time when there is some outbreak of diseases, the animals have started dying. He sells all the animals and keep money. When the wave passes, then he goes down to some certain area and buys back all the animals, which means the value of all those animals were stored into what? Into money, right? So the value of wealth can be stored into money. Money can be used as a standard of deferred payment, just as said, right? Now, because of this function, it is possible to undertake a number of transactions in the present and actually settle the accounts, which are the same as the bills, at some time in the future, right? You can buy now, pay later, you know those things. Buy now, pay later. So the sale and production of goods is made easier by money performing this function, since goods and services can be acquired prior payment being made, right? Because money acts as a standard of deferred payment, the acquisition of labor, raw materials, and other goods and services can be acquired, okay? They can be acquired. And the various parties involved will know the sums involved and payments to be made at a future date. There are those deferred payments. In the future, you're supposed to make payments, but of how much, right? For example, even when you're teaching, for example, if we're teaching some students, they group themselves, they want maybe tutorials, they can sometimes maybe owe you, like something. And because we are aware of how much they're going to give us later on, since they owe us, or maybe by next week or any other day, we cannot worry much because we know that we are using money. Money can be used, you know, as a standard of deferred payment. They can give back the value of money. So one of the key things for students to learn is that when you're exchanging money, actually what you're trying to do is to exchange value, okay? Exchanging money is exchanging value when you're trading, right? When you give your money, you're giving the value of something to someone in return of something. You should give money in return of something. A person has done something, a service, or they've given you a good, then you give them money. You're exchanging the value, okay? So similarly, we have given you the services, you have to give us money in return. You're giving us the value that it should be equivalent to the value that we're giving you, but most of the times it's not the case. You find that maybe the value of something that you've given to somebody is way higher than what they've given you in return, right? So, but actually, it is supposed to be the same value. In international finance and derivatives, you will learn how to come up with the normal value of the assets. There is that piece of study where you'll be trained on how to evaluate, how to value the assets. That is very, very necessary. On the functions of money, do I have any question? No. Madam Nyambe, do you have any question? Any question?
No, no question.
Okay. Now, what you'll understand is that money has actually evolved so many different stages, okay? It has passed through different stages. The payment system, actually, the payment system, it has passed through different stages, from first stage to the other stage, up from the other stage up to the other stage, just like that, up to where we are right now. So let's a little bit look at the evolution of payment system, where it started from, how it started, and where it is right now. Maybe just in a nutshell, this history is very, very important. Many days ago, like many years, centuries and centuries ago, people, when it comes to trading, money existed in form of precious metals such as gold, silver, gold and silver mostly. Gold, let's leave it at gold in that. Now, when you look at gold Gold is a precious metal that people had attached the value and say their money, it will be used in the exchange of goods and the services as money. You know what used to happen? Let me give you this history. You might have learned it somewhere, or maybe you might not. What used to happen, this is how it started. You go dig gold, you find those bigger, pieces of gold. Now, it became very difficult for people to be moving with what? With gold everywhere they go. Follow this history, it's very necessary. Very difficult. It's an interesting story, but. So what used to happen is that what started happening was that these people who own gold, they would take this gold to the goldsmith. The goldsmith. The goldsmiths are these people who had this skill of breaking down this gold into small pieces, beating it into some shapes, okay? Small shapes, from bigger metals to small ones. Those are goldsmiths. So what happens is that they would take that gold, maybe with Oscar or something, they leave the gold, and then the gold is beaten into some small shape, and then the value thereof is written down. I have such a number of gold, right? Broken down. Then the goldsmith would issue a paper called I owe you. He would issue a receipt. They give this person a receipt. People stopped keeping gold with themselves. They would keep it in the hands of the goldsmith. So they would issue a receipt, the goldsmith, issue a receipt and give it to the merchant, right? The owner of gold. The receipt is written, I owe you such an amount of gold. Okay, I owe you. I have your gold. And so a person will start moving around only with that receipt. That is what started happening. When they are moving with that receipt, when they want to exchange any good, like they would just present a receipt to someone that I have gold. Please give me, I have gold somewhere. Here is a receipt. All right. So that receipt meant that at any time I want gold, I can go and present my receipt, then they give back my gold, right? They give me gold, then I use it to settle debts. So those were the first banks that we had. The banks we had are the goldsmith people. Those who were beating gold into shapes, they would keep gold. Now, with passage of time, this is what started happening. People started having more confidence as they started doing, like, if they go back to the goldsmith, they present their gold, they present their receipt, they would receive their gold. They would always find gold. So what happens? They developed the confidence in goldsmith. They said, it's okay, guys. They developed that trust. And after gaining confidence, they started leaving gold for a long time, just moving with those papers. The receipts started circulating in what? In circulation, just with the receipts. Gold is not with them. Until those receipts started being used as exchange of goods and services, they were just exchanging the receipts. No, I have gold, I have gold. And people left gold for a long time with the what? With the goldsmith guys. Now, here is where the problem came in. You see where the government came into control. These goldsmith guys, when they looked at, these guys left their gold and they're not coming back. How if you can make more money by issuing more what? More receipts? So now they started doing it like they would issue more I owe you those receipts, more papers than the actual gold they had. They would use their gold and sell it somewhere else and say, we have such gold, and just issue receipts, you're just issuing papers, but you don't have the gold. Okay. Then the problem that started happening was now, when these people who own gold started going back at some point to ask for gold, please, here is your receipt, give me my gold. They would not find gold because the amount of the receipts that were in circulation were more than the value of gold that was there in existence. That is the reason as to why, even nowadays, if you make your own money, what happens? Bamanga, right? Mr. Moses?
Yes, it's true.
Yes. You've been castered because we want that the value of money, it should represent the true reflection, it should be a true reflection of the activities, economic activities happening. It should show the level of production that is there. Now, if you issue out more papers than the level of production that is there, that is dangerous to the economy and it's not allowed. And this is what it started happening. These guys were just issuing out more papers. It was just more like money making and money render. Instead of, issuing the true value of the gold they had. So because of that now, it became a very serious problem where they take the gold, the receipt, the IOU paper, they don't find enough amount of gold. Then these people started being taken to the courts, and that is how the government now came in. The government came in and said, no, from now onwards, no blacksmith or no goldsmith will be will be issuing out the IOU, will be the ones issuing out the IOU. So the government picked it up, had to pick it up to start now issuing the IOU. That is the banking system now. That's how they started issuing IOU, those papers, the IOU papers. Until the government abolished because people would just bring gold packing until when the government never had enough places to keep gold. They just abolished the issue of gold and just legalized the money and made it a legal tender. The money, the paper money. And that's how the paper money now started going into what? Into circulation and be accepted as a medium of exchange. The gold thing stopped like that. That's a stage. Any question? Hello?
No question. It is clear.
You're following the story. It's an interesting story, isn't it?
It is.
Very interesting story. Now, let's look at the evolution, the stages that money has passed through from that time. Number one, money started as commodity money. Commodity money. Now, with commodity money, we are saying that money existed in form of the precious metals. That was the first stage. Gold, silver, just like that. So the money that exists in the form of some other goods which have got some intrinsic value. Intrinsic value, which simply means those things you can use them for other things. That was called the commodity money. 100 years ago, many years ago. Then after commodity money, after those metals, there came what was called the fiat money. Now with the fiat money, this was the next stage in development where they introduced paper currency. This paper currency you are seeing, that was the next stage, right? Paper currency was introduced and they started printing out paper. The government made a legal tender. Now, a legal tender means that legally, the paper must be accepted as payment for debts. That's what it means. That's why, Nimlandu, if someone gives you money, then you refuse that money. Just go to any shop, you give them the money. If you are told there is any, you give them the money which is not actually a fake money. You give them to buy something, then they refuse the money. They say, no, it's not accepted. No, it is legal. The government made it legal that this paper, this paper, it should be accepted. But if you take a plain paper for that, it will not be accepted. Because the government has not yet made the plain paper a legal tender. But if the government makes a plain paper a legal tender, people will move away from the money we are using and start using a plain paper. So in short, it's just the government that dictated that, okay, guys, from now onwards, this paper, this piece of paper, such a paper, please, is a very important paper. Is that clear? Now, there are some drawbacks that we have with paper currency and the coins. One of them is that they can easily be stolen. and it can be expensive to transport, especially in large quantities. Okay, they are bulk, because if you are, imagine you are transporting 5 billion in papers. Okay, it can be that expensive to transport. Now, to combat this problem, another step in evolution came into play, or it came into existence. There was another stage, and that led to the introduction of the cheques. Okay, the cheques were introduced. The check stage. Let's see what happened, what started happening under the check stage. When you started using the cheques, you know that the introduction of cheques was actually the major innovation that improved the efficiency of the payment system. Because frequently payments made back and forth cancel each other. Okay, started canceling each other just by canceling the cheques, isn't it? We are talking about the payment that cancel each other. For example, I owe you, you owe me. I send a check to you, you send a check to me. What do? We just cancel checks. No need of carrying money. Okay. There was no need of what? Of carrying money. So if you check the payment cancel each other, okay, those those checks that cancel each other, they can just be settled by canceling the checks. So the use of the checks actually reduce on the transportation costs that are associated with the payment system, and it improved economic efficiency. Another advantage of the checks is that they can be written for any amount up to the balance in the account, isn't it? You can write any amount up to the balance that you have in the account. That makes the transactions for large amount much easier, right? If you want to transport 5 billion, you just write 5 billion on a check. You're done. Instead of transporting everything, just present a check for that, an issue of transported money. Okay. However, there are two problems again we have with the checks that came in. The first one, it takes time. It used to take time to get checks from one place to another. Those days, it's not like nowadays. Nowadays, the electronic system, whatever. That was a serious problem. Okay. When it comes to payments that are made for someone who is at a different location, especially far, if you want to make payments quickly, maybe you have to move from here to the other place, you know, it would take time. In addition, if the checking account, okay, if you have a checking account, you know that it usually takes several business days before a bank will allow you to make use of the funds from a check you have deposited. So now, if you want cash urgently and you are waiting for the check to mature, it used to take time. Okay, because those days a check would take maybe 3-4 days. But nowadays, how many days does the check take to mature? The check is still in existence, right? Hello.
Yes, it is.
Yes. How many days? How many days does it take?
24 hours. Just within 24 hours.
Within 24 hours. You've seen now.
Yes.
Now, those old days, it used to take a lot of days. But at least now, within 24 hours, the check is ready. Another development that occurred, these are stages. I'm talking about evolution of money. The electronic payments. When the checks became a problem, then came electronic payments. This was the development of inexpensive computers and the spread of the internet now make it cheap to pay bills electronically. Huh? You can make payment by mailing a check. Okay. The banks provide a website most of the times in which you can just log in, you know, you just make some few clicks here and there. The payments are made electronically, right? You know that people pay tax. You can pay tax using the e-system. You can pay tax. You can just make a lot of payments electronically. And I'm happy with the development that the PACRA guys have done. Right? You've seen what is happening at the patent of companies, registration agents, PACRA. You can register a company online, like no need of going to PACRA, everything done online, even paying online. Papa, you're done. Very easy, just take few steps, your company is registered. But now, those days you would panic now, how do I move to PACRA, right? How do I do what? You can buy power, Zesco, using power, electricity, just using it. You just click here and there. You don't suffer. Life is made easy now. After the electronic payments came what is known as the e-money system, right? The electronic payments technology cannot only substitute for checks, right? But it can substitute for cash as well as in form of electronic money, the e-money. So money that exists only in electronic form, that is the e-money. This form of money, okay, was the debit card, right? The first form of it was the debit card. The debit cards, which look like the credit card, right? Enable consumers to purchase goods and services by electronically transferring funds directly from their bank account to the merchant's account. And that is what is usually happening. You know those things, the ATM cards, the Visa cards, and stuff for machine. Okay. So that is what has started happening. You can even buy things online, right? All the way from here up to England. You're buying things from England, online purchasing, online ordering. You make orders online, and then you receive the money. That's the level we have reached right now. Talking about maybe here in Zambia, even this e-system now is all over. It's here even in our country. You are able to do those things.